Lucian was an enigma. He drew people in with his charm, his aura of power almost tangible. Whispers followed him, whispers of ancient wisdom and forbidden knowledge. He was a student of the occult, they said, a master of hidden energies. But beneath the surface, a darker truth lurked. Lucian was an energy vampire, feeding on the life force of others. He used his knowledge not for enlightenment, but for manipulation. His true aim? To sustain his own illusion of power. Lucian's preferred prey, women, he sought them out, drawn to their vibrant, life-giving energy. He saw them not as equals, not as individuals, but as sources of power to be tapped. Their emotions, their passions, their very essence were fuel for his own depleted soul. He was a parasite hiding in plain sight, cloaked in charisma and a veneer of spirituality. The irony was cruel. Lucian craved the energy of women, yet harbored a secret. His true desires lay elsewhere. He was gay, drawn to the masculine, yet convinced that true power resided in the feminine. This internal conflict fueled his manipulations, his need to dominate and control the very energy he craved but would not embrace in its natural form. He saw women as vessels of a force he desperately needed, a force he believed would make him whole. His pursuit of this energy was relentless. He would weave tales of past lives, of spiritual connections, of destinies intertwined. He would play the role of the wounded healer, the misunderstood mystic, drawing women into his web of deceit. They, unsuspecting of his true nature, would find themselves drawn to his enigmatic aura, his promises of enlightenment. Lucian was a master manipulator, a puppeteer of emotions. He would shower his victims with attention, showering them with compliments and fabricated adoration. He would listen intently, feigning empathy, all the while taking mental notes of their vulnerabilities, their hopes, their fears. Then he would use these intimacies, these shared secrets, to bind them to him, to make them feel seen, understood, special. Once he had their trust, the real feeding would begin. He would subtly undermine their confidence, planting seeds of doubt and insecurity. He would create drama, manufactured crises, feeding on the emotional turmoil they generated. Their anxieties, their tears, their desperate attempts to please him, all were fuel for his fire. And as they withered, he would seem to grow stronger, more vibrant, his illusion of power solidified by their unwitting sacrifice. Lucian's carefully constructed facade hid a deep well of shame. His true desires, his attraction to men, were a source of internal conflict. He saw it as a weakness, an abhorrent flaw in his pursuit of power. He believed that embracing his true self would render him powerless, a failure in his own eyes and the eyes of the world he sought to control. His sexuality was the unspoken truth that haunted him, the ghost in the machinery of his carefully constructed persona. It was a secret he guarded fiercely, burying it beneath layers of deceit and manipulation. He projected his own self-loathing onto the women he targeted, punishing them for possessing the very essence he both craved and despised. Eve's awakening, a glimmer of truth. Eve was different. She was drawn to Lucian initially, captivated by his charisma and the allure of the unknown. But something about his intensity, the almost desperate hunger in his eyes, made her uneasy. Eve possessed a quiet strength, a self-awareness that Lucian had rarely encountered before. She had faced her own demons, walked through her own fire, and emerged stronger, more aware. She saw through Lucian's carefully constructed persona, sensing the hollowness beneath the surface. His touch, once electrifying, now felt cold, draining. His words, once so alluring, now rang hollow in her ears. Eve's intuition, honed by her own experiences, whispered a warning. This man was not who he seemed. The unveiling Eve's threat to Lucian's illusion. Eve's growing awareness was a threat to Lucian's carefully crafted world. Her very presence disrupted his energy, her strength a mirror reflecting his own inner turmoil. He felt her pulling away, sensing the shift in her perception. His control, so absolute with others, began to falter. Panic, a foreign emotion to him, flickered beneath his carefully cultivated calm. He tried to reel her back in, to tighten his grip, but it was no use. Eve was already slipping away, her eyes open to his true nature. She saw him not as a charismatic leader, but as a frightened little boy, hiding behind a mask of borrowed power. And in that moment of clarity, she became dangerous, a threat to the very foundation of his carefully constructed reality. Confrontation and chaos. The inevitable confrontation was explosive. Eve, armed with the truth of his deception, confronted Lucian. His carefully crafted facade crumbled, revealing the scared and insecure man beneath. He lashed out, his words laced with venom, his energy crackling with desperation. He tried to discredit her, to paint her as delusional, but his words fell flat. Eve refused to be drawn back into his web. She had seen the truth, felt the emptiness behind his eyes, and she would not be silenced. Their confrontation was a clash of light and shadow, of authenticity versus illusion. And in the midst of the chaos, Lucian's true nature was laid bare for all to see. The price of deception. The fallout from Lucian's unmasking was swift and brutal. His followers, once so enamored with his persona, were left reeling, their faith shattered. The truth of his manipulations, his parasitic feeding on their energy, left them feeling betrayed, violated. The community he had so carefully cultivated turned their backs on him, the whispers of admiration replaced by murmurs of disgust. Lucian, stripped of his power, his mask of confidence shattered, retreated into the shadows. He was left alone with the echoes of his own lies, the weight of his deceptions crushing him. The energy he had so desperately sought, the power he had craved, had slipped through his fingers like sand. A new dawn. In the aftermath of Lucian's downfall, a sense of relief settled over the community. The air felt lighter, cleansed of his toxic energy. The women he had targeted began to heal, to reclaim their strength and power. Eve, hailed as a beacon of truth, helped guide them, sharing her own journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Lucian's story served as a cautionary tale, a reminder that true power comes not from manipulation and control, but from authenticity, from embracing one's true self. The community, once fractured by deceit, began to rebuild, stronger and wiser for having faced the darkness. A new dawn had broken, one where truth and genuine connection were valued above all else.